Hi. Um, Whenever I watch the Cimarellis, for some reason I have this sort of energy jolt and I kind of feel like I want to do like another monologue. This case is no different. I was going to try and talk about something that I call semantics. Now, I don't know what semantics means. I've never looked it up. But whenever I think about semantics in my own mind, it's basically like hypothetical, like, a distant hypothetical, more of a fantasy hypothetical. Now, it's problematic on the most impossible occurrences that actually end up happening. So that's what I call it whenever I think of semantics. Now, if you want, just for boredom's sake, we can talk about a particular section of semantics that has to do with some of the occurrences that are happening in the United States right now. It comes first and foremost in the presentation of how I want to talk about it, which will be, what if there was no planet Earth until Asia and the United States got along on a level platform? Which would mean that all debts have been paid as far as the 2 atomic bombs being dropped. And we saw eye to eye and cohabitated. Now, what I mean by planet Earth hasn't started until that happens, what if all the movies selected for Hollywood since the beginning of Hollywood was to lead towards day one after Asia likes the United States? And then Barnes and Noble and Asian books in Barnes and Noble, movies that are put in like a storyboard cartoon format, are day one also. So books that were there in American in English, and then books that are there in Asian, both, because Barnes and Noble is like a harbor. And what if Hollywood even knows that? Is the other sort of interesting thing to think about. Now that you understand where it is I'm going with this, then it would mean also that all of the movies that have come out up to this point are depictions of, maybe since the United States is just starting to get along with Asia in an apologetic form, and the Asians only are willing to accept versions of America with a heroic atmosphere. They didn't want to see actual America because that's the America that makes them make all of the stuff that we walk around with. Made in Taiwan, that sort of thing. So they didn't want to see the America that they know is there. They would like to see America, or is only willing to accept the America that shows some sort of heroic status, some impossible imagination. What if every single one of those movies had to get borrowed from someone or a small group somewhere just to make it into reality? You can't get something from nothing. Hollywood technically grabs it from a crystal ball that is looking at someone or a small group. And what if Hollywood even knows that? Now, fast forward a little bit and take into consideration the black community found out that Hollywood knows that, and then starts rewriting scripts, and then takes the main character that was white and turns him black, and switches names around to metaphorically and symbolize this so that it would confuse a lot of people, which in the end actually forces the exact thing that could still happen in the future. Pick a name for it: Apocalypse, Armageddon, Doomsday, Judgment Day. But basically the bridge from one past to future. Now, that we've had that sort of like analyzed, when you look at movies, technically everything is open to interpretation. You know, most of the time, anything from 1991 to 1999 is going to be your best interpretation. Anything after that, the black community found out about, took over certain offices, rewrote scripts, and added black characters. So if you want to entertain your kids and you want to do it appropriately, there's a safe bet on those movies. Now you're always going to get your black characters sometimes in those movies too, but you just don't. So, it's interesting. Now, the reason why I wanted to bring it up in such an extraordinary sort of platform was because it could actually go into actual being extraordinary. Now, for instance, let's say that the United States and Asia has to see eye to eye in order for this future to actually take place, in order for Barnes & Noble to actually find a future. You know, your author that you really like, that you think that they should have had a movie and you're wondering why they haven't. Well, let's say Asia believes you and likes your opinion and even thinks you should help them make it. Well, that would be an extraordinary future. There would have to be a lot of people missing in order for that sort of attitude to take place. Now, what people would be missing is the question. Now, the reason why I wanted to bring that up is because I think it's interesting, and I say this all the time to myself, obviously, when I'm walking around, is there's a lot of females walking around with, like, sort of over-the-top bodies. You know, pick your section of the body, but you can practically draw it on a piece of paper 20 years ago and show it to a friend and say, that could never happen. That's why it's a cartoon print. The women are making that happen. They're walking around right now. And that's what I wanted to talk about. You can see it a million times over, and you always, and I know a lot of guys ask this, it's just like, so you just felt like getting a big fat ass? You're just in the mood? Big old thighs? You look good in those pants. Good for you. Pick your body part, they're just like, I just felt like. Except every guy that's especially a good guy, they're just like, I don't get any like really extra awesome parts. I really like that. I don't get it. I know what I do when I'm making stuff, writing ideas, writing songs. I know what I do, and I'm not getting rewarded in any way. There you go. I'm glad someone proclamated you that. So, what I think is interesting, now we have a serious situation going on in the United States right now. Obviously, there's two main stories. There's the coronavirus, and there's the stock market exchange. Now, realistically, if any one of these gets any worse, you can consider some major occurrence to take place. It could be many different things, but whatever that occurrence is, it will help fix the coronavirus problem or help fix the stock market problem eventually. Now, the eventually part is the part that I wanted to talk to you about next, because you got to ask yourself what's causing these women to have open doors to acceptance to their extraordinary body parts. You know, obviously somebody is giving the free pass. Some community that's more than your boyfriend, more than your husband, more than your parents, family members, somebody, and maybe they know who that is, each and every one of them. And it might be a closet secret. So, in what way would a guy be given a free pass ever? You gotta ask yourself that question. So far, we know that all the guys that are given free passes belong to the NBA. An entire stadium thinks that we are all better off if you are all our national hero. Everybody agrees it's a good time. You know, they're really good at what they do. You know, between the legs, back, forth, shoot, spin, go for a layup, shoot, spin, go for a roundhouse dunk. It's an entertaining game. It's made the world go around for decades. you got to wonder. We have a coronavirus that's out of control, and we have a stock market exchange that continues to lose support. So if I know I'm a good person and I know I've written everything, and it only seems like this is going towards something bad and this is going towards something bad, and this might be fun for a lot of guys to consider, like, there's a lot of guys out there walking around right now that are very creative in different quiet sections of different cities around the world, that every day they wake up and this is going bad and this is going bad and then this is going worse and then this is going worse. They go like this every morning. Oh, isn't it a beautiful day? Did a light bulb turn on? Did somebody open a window? I feel good. You know, and I'm thinking this new electricity, this new sort of light, what if it got more? You know, and that's the concept I was going to talk about with the women that that you're wondering, how did you do that? And she has a secret. She just goes, this store right here, they really like me a lot. It's part of my video program. This store right here, they really like me a lot. I don't know how they do it, but I'm really popular. No one knows who's causing the body fluctuations. But if that group and that group is suddenly in trouble and makes a phone call to some people that are actually thinking, you gotta wonder, are the quiet ones that just type a lot, do their best to think a lot, just send pure ideas out into the computer airwaves? You gotta wonder, can they do it to a guy?